Both.
Both. You have to have both. And
What?
so this is the 2,492 carat stone.
God is good.
The world's second largest diamond has been found in a mine in Botswana using X-ray technology. The stone is approximately 2,492 carats, the largest diamond discovery in the southern African state.
Deep inside a mine in Botswana, a machine pulled a stone from the earth, unlike almost any other in history. This wasn't just a diamond. It was a 2,492 carat behemoth, weighing over a pound, about the size of a human fist. The news flashed across the globe. This was the second largest gem-quality diamond ever found, a treasure of unimaginable value. For Botswana, a country whose entire modern story is built on diamonds, this should have been a moment of pure triumph. When President Mokgweetsi Masisi held the stone, he gasped, "God is good." He saw the future in its facets. I can see roads being built, I see hospitals, and I can see kids going to school.
Also goes to show Botswana and the world how important mining, good governance, particularly diamond mining, is to Botswana. They mean everything to us, in the good times and the bad times. The diamond prices are going through a very difficult time right now, but yet every diamond remains precious and valuable. So we want to look after, we want to optimize and get the best price for it.
But behind the celebration, a deep crack was instantly exposed. This single glittering stone didn't just represent new schools. It threw a spotlight on a fierce, century-old battle. A battle over who really profits from Africa's resources. A battle pitting the nation of Botswana against the powerful corporations that have dominated its most precious industry for generations. This is the story of how a historic discovery became the symbol of a fight for a nation's soul. To understand this fight, you have to understand Botswana. When it gained independence from Britain in 1966, it was one of the poorest places on earth. Think dirt roads, a few schools, and an annual income of about $80 per person. Then, just 1 year later, they found diamonds. What happened next was an economic miracle. Over the next 50 years, Botswana went from rags to riches, becoming one of Africa's most prosperous and stable countries. This wasn't just luck. The government smartly partnered with foreign mining companies, mainly the giant De Beers, to use its diamond wealth to build a modern nation. Today, diamonds are the engine of the country. They make up around 80% of export revenue and a third of the entire economy. That money has paid for free education, universal healthcare, and infrastructure, making Botswana a shining exception to the resource curse that has haunted so many of its neighbors. The model seemed perfect. A 50-50 joint venture called Botswana, split between the government and De Beers, ensured a big chunk of the profits stayed home. But even in this perfect partnership, there has always been a quiet tension, a nagging question of fairness. Sure, Botswana owned half the mines, but De Beers, a London-based giant, controlled pretty much everything else. They set the prices, they sorted the stones, they ran the global sales and marketing. For decades, the most important work, the part that creates the most value, happened thousands of miles away in London, Antwerp, and Tel Aviv. The rough stones came from Botswana's soil, but the real magic, the cutting and polishing that turns a rock into a priceless jewel, was done elsewhere. And that's where the biggest profits were made. It's a frustration that has simmered for years. This feeling that even in the world's most successful diamond partnership, Botswana was still the junior partner in its own story. The discovery of that 2,492 carat giant didn't happen in a vacuum. It landed right in the middle of this simmering debate. In fact, the stone wasn't even found at a Botswana mine. It came from the Karo mine, operated by Lucara Diamond Corp, a Canadian company. Lucara, like De Beers, represents the corporate side of the argument. Their CEO was quick to point out it was their advanced X-ray technology that even made finding such a massive stone possible without breaking it. The argument goes like this: we're the ones taking the massive financial risks. We invest hundreds of millions in exploration and tech. We provide the expertise. In return, we're entitled to the rewards laid out in our contracts. And those rewards are huge. Lucara's stock jumped on the news of the discovery. But for many in Botswana, that argument rings hollow, and it echoes a very painful history. Just look at the most famous diamond ever found, the 3,106-carat Cullinan. Discovered in neighboring South Africa in 1905, it was promptly shipped to England, cut up, and now sits in the British Crown Jewels. A permanent, glittering symbol of colonial wealth, pulled from African soil. That shadow is long. More recent amazing finds from Botswana have followed a similar path. Maybe not to a royal crown, but to the vaults of Western luxury brands. The 1,758-carat Sewell diamond, also found at Cairo in 2019, was bought by the French fashion house Louis Vuitton. The 1,109-carat Les Civile Rono was sold to a British jeweler for $53 million in 2017. This pattern fuels the narrative of extraction. Critics argue that even with royalties and partnerships, the basic setup is still exploitative. The industry term for changing this is beneficiation, the process of adding value to a raw material here at home. For years, Botswana has fought to bring more of that process onto its own soil. They scored a huge victory in 2013, forcing De Beers to move its entire international sorting and sales operation from London to the capital, Gaborone. Still, the real money lies in that final step, turning a rough stone worth tens of millions into polished gems and jewelry worth hundreds of millions. As long as that happens mostly in Europe and North America, the feeling of getting the short end of the stick will persist. The 2,492-carat diamond became the ultimate test. Would it be just another trophy for a foreign buyer, or could this be the moment Botswana finally rewrites the rules? This fight for control over natural resources is happening all over the globe, and it's a story we follow closely. If you find these deep dives into power and economics compelling, make sure you subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss what we uncover next. The giant diamond couldn't have been found at a more critical time. For years, Botswana had been locked in tense negotiations with De Beers to renew their 50-year partnership. Feeling more confident than ever, the government was pushing hard, not just for more money, but for more control. They wanted to sell more of their own diamonds themselves and see more of them processed locally. The talks were tough, dragging on for years and becoming a huge political issue. Then, in February 2025, they'd finally signed a landmark deal. It was a massive win for Botswana. The new 10-year agreement dramatically increases the share of diamonds that Botswana's state-owned Okavango Diamond Company, ODC, can sell on its own. The ODC's share immediately jumps from 25% to 30%, will climb to 40%, and then finally hit 50% by the end of the deal. This gives Botswana its own direct line to the global market, allowing it to build its own customer base and chip away at De Beers' historic monopoly. On top of that, the mining licenses were extended for another 25 years, ensuring stability until 2054. And crucially, De Beers committed to a $75 million Diamonds for Development Fund to help Botswana build an economy that isn't just about mining. The deal is a clear signal that Botswana is done being a junior partner. It's taking the driver's seat. But this victory comes at a really tough time. The global diamond market is in a slump. Competition from lab-grown diamonds is getting fiercer, and demand from key markets like China has dropped. In fact, Botswana's rough diamond sales have recently plummeted, forcing the government to cut spending. So, Botswana is fighting for a bigger piece of a pie that's actually shrinking. It's a risky and urgent gamble. The story of the 2,492-carat diamond, now named Mokgweetsi, which means water source, is far from over. Its discovery became a brilliant billion-year-old symbol of a nation's fight to control its own future. The unveiling of the stone was a moment of pride, but the fight it represented was for something far more valuable than any single gem: economic sovereignty. With its new De Beers deal, Botswana has won a major battle. It has clawed back a larger share of its own wealth and a more direct role in the market than ever before. It proved that it's possible for an African nation to stand up to a corporate giant and shift the balance of power. But the war isn't won. The country is still dangerously dependent on a single volatile commodity that's facing threats from all sides. The real challenge begins now, using the power from this new deal to build a diverse economy, one that can create a brilliant future for its people long after the last diamond is pulled from the ground. The fate of the magnificent Mokgweetsi diamond is still undecided, but its legacy is already clear. It's the story of a nation that saw its reflection in a priceless stone and decided that the future it saw was one it would build and own for itself. Thanks for watching, and please do not forget to like and subscribe for more informative videos like this one.